The first thing that hit me when I opened the front door wasn't the silence, it was the smell. Not the familiar scent of Michael's aftershave or the lavender sachets I'd tucked into every closet. This was something else entirely, something that crawled into my nostrils and sat there like a warning I didn't want to decode. Stale air, damp wood, and underneath it all, something human. Something wrong. I stood in the doorway, my suitcase still in hand, keys dangling from my finger. 2 months. I'd been gone exactly 2 months, caring for my mother as Alzheimer's slowly erased her piece by piece. I thought I'd learned what loss smelled like in those sterile hospital rooms. I was wrong. The living room lights were on, every single one of them. The lamps by the couch, the overhead fixture, even the decorative sconces I only turned on for company. But the house felt hollow, empty in a way that had nothing to do with the absence of people. "Michael?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. No answer. I stepped inside, letting the door swing shut behind me. The click of the lock echoed too loud in the silence. My eyes swept the room, cataloging details my brain wasn't ready to process yet. The couch cushions were perfectly arranged. The coffee table was spotless, too spotless. Michael was never this tidy. He'd leave his reading glasses on the armrest, a coffee mug on the side table, the TV remote wedged between cushions. Now everything looked staged, like a showroom, like someone had cleaned to hide something. I walked further in, my shoes clicking against the hardwood. Jennifer's car hadn't been in the driveway when I pulled up. Neither had Kyle's Tesla. But they'd been staying here, hadn't they? Taking care of Michael while I was away. The kitchen came into view, and my stomach tightened. The table was set for two. 2 plates, 2 forks, 2 napkins folded into perfect triangles, the kind of presentation Jennifer always did when she wanted to impress someone. But the food was gone, the dishes unused. I reached out and touched the kettle on the stove. Warm. Not hot, not cold. Just warm enough to tell me someone boiled water maybe an hour ago, maybe less. "Michael!" I called again, louder this time. "Honey, are you upstairs?" The silence pressed back against me like a physical thing. I moved through the kitchen, my heartbeat picking up speed. Something was wrong. Everything was wrong. The air itself felt thick, contaminated with a tension I couldn't name. That's when I heard it. A sound so faint I almost missed it. Metal clicking. Like a doorknob being turned from the inside, testing, probing, then stopping. And then a voice. Weak, raspy, barely above a whisper. "Teresa, is that you?" My blood turned to ice. The voice was coming from below me, from the basement. I spun toward the basement door tucked beneath the staircase. My hands were already trembling as I crossed the kitchen, my mind racing through possibilities, none of them good. Michael hated the basement. He always had. Too dark, too damp, too full of old boxes he'd been meaning to sort through for years. He never went down there unless I asked him to fetch something. So why would he be down there now? Unless he wasn't there by choice. I reached the door and my breath caught. The bolt was drawn. The heavy iron bolt we'd installed years ago when the kids were small to keep them from tumbling down the steep stairs. It was locked from the outside. Oh God, Michael! "Teresa." The voice came again stronger, now desperate. Please open the door." My hands shook so badly I could barely grip the bolt. It scraped against the metal housing as I yanked it free, the sound sharp and violent in the quiet house. I pulled the door open, and the smell that poured out nearly dropped me to my knees. Urine, sweat, unwashed skin, the sour metallic tang of rust, and something else, something sick and festering and human. The stairs descended into darkness. Only a weak sliver of light came from a small window at the far end of the basement, barely enough to see by. "Michael!" I cracked. "Down here! I'm down here!" I fumbled for the light switch and flipped it. Nothing. The bulb was out. Or removed. I grabbed my phone from my pocket, turned on the flashlight, and started down the stairs. Each step creaked under my weight. The smell got worse with every foot I descended. When I reached the bottom and swung the light across the space, I saw him. My husband, lying on the cold cement floor in the corner, curled on his side like a child. His shirt was torn at the shoulder. His jeans were stained dark. His face was gaunt, hollow, his eyes sunk into a skull like he'd aged 10 years in 2 months. "Michael, what happened? Who did this?" He blinked up at me slowly, like he was struggling to focus. His lips were cracked and bleeding. When he tried to speak, his voice came out in a croak. "Water?" I looked around frantically. There was nothing. No water bottle, no cup, nothing. Just a thin, soiled blanket bunched up near his legs and a bucket in the corner that made my stomach turn. "Hold on, baby. Hold on." I ran back upstairs, my legs barely holding me. I grabbed a glass from the cabinet, filled it with water, and raced back down. I held it to his lips, tilted it carefully. He drank like a man dying of thirst, water spilling down his chin, his hands too weak to hold the glass himself. "Slow, slow," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. "Not too fast." When he drained half the glass, he pulled back, gasping. His eyes met mine, and in them I saw something that broke me completely. Confusion, fear, and something else. Betrayal. "She said," his voice was barely a thread, "she said you left me here." "What? Who said that?" "Jennifer." He swallowed, wincing. "She said you needed the money more than me, that you told her to keep me safe while you were gone." The world tilted. Jennifer did this? I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. My daughter? Our daughter? He nodded weakly. "She came every day at first, brought food, then less. Then she stopped. I don't know how long. I lost track." My mind reeled. This wasn't possible. Jennifer couldn't. But the evidence was right in front of me. The locked door, the removed light bulb, the bolt on the outside of the door. This wasn't negligence. This was deliberate. "I'm calling 911, I said, my voice shaking with rage. "Right now. And then I'm calling the police." "The reason..." Michael's hand caught my wrist, his grip pathetically weak. "She took everything. The accounts, the papers. She made me sign. I don't remember what. But she said you knew. She said you agreed." Ice flooded my veins. "What papers?" "I don't know." His eyes were losing focus again. "My head, I can't think. Everything's foggy." I pulled out my phone and dialed 911 with shaking fingers. As I waited for it to ring, I looked around the basement again. Really looked. The clean patches on the floor, where something had been scrubbed away. The missing light bulb. The bolt on the outside of the door. This wasn't negligence. This was deliberate. 911, what's your emergency?" "My husband," I choked out. "I need an ambulance. He's been locked in our basement. I don't know for how long.
He's dehydrated, confused. He needs help. As I gave the address, my eyes landed on something I'd missed before. A small black circle mounted on the wall near the ceiling, partially hidden behind an exposed pipe. A camera lens. Someone was watching. Someone was recording. And I had a terrible, sickening feeling I knew exactly who. "Ma'am, paramedics are on their way," the dispatcher said. "Stay on the line with me. Is your husband conscious?" "Yes," I whispered, staring at that tiny black eye. "Yes, he's conscious, but barely." And as I knelt there on that cold basement floor, holding my husband's trembling hand, one thought circled my mind like a vulture. My daughter did this. My own daughter locked her father in the dark and walked away. And somewhere right now, she was living her life like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just destroyed everything. I sat on the basement floor next to Michael, my hand wrapped around his, watching his chest rise and fall in shallow breaths. Every few seconds, he'd try to speak, but the words came out jumbled, disconnected. "Jennifer said you called. You said, keep him safe." "I never said that, honey. I never said any of that." His eyes searched my face, looking for truth he couldn't quite grasp. The Alzheimer's had been mild when I left. Occasional forgetfulness, a name here and there. Now he looked lost in his own mind, like someone had rearranged all the furniture in a dark room. What had she done to him? The paramedics came down the stairs with a stretcher and equipment, their faces going carefully blank when they saw the conditions. I watched them assess Michael with quick, professional efficiency, checking vitals, shining lights in his eyes, asking questions he couldn't fully answer. "How long has he been down here?" the older one asked me, his tone neutral, but his eyes hard. "I don't know. I just got home. I've been out of state for 2 months." "And no one checked on him?" "My daughter was supposed to be staying here, taking care of him." The words tasted poison.
The paramedics exchanged a glance I recognized. I'd seen it before, in waiting rooms and hospital corridors. The look that said, "We'll file the report. Someone else will ask the questions." They loaded Michael onto the stretcher, strapped him in gently. As they carried him up the stairs, I followed, my legs moving on autopilot. Outside, neighbors had gathered on their porches, arms crossed, watching. Mrs. Chen from next door caught my eye and quickly looked away. Had they known? Had they heard anything? Had Jennifer told them lies, too? I climbed into the ambulance beside Michael, and we rode in silence broken only by the beep of monitors and the crackle of the radio. His hand found mine again, squeezed weakly. "Don't leave me," he whispered. "Never," I promised. "Never again." The emergency room was controlled chaos. They whisked Michael away the moment we arrived, leaving me standing in a white hallway that smelled of antiseptic and burned coffee. A nurse with kind eyes guided me to a private waiting area and handed me a clipboard. "We need you to fill out some information while the doctors examine him." I nodded, took the clipboard, stared at the words without seeing them. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. "Ma'am?" The nurse touched my shoulder gently. "Can I get you some water?" "I need to call my daughter. I need to ask her what the hell she did." The nurse's expression flickered. Sympathy mixed with something else. Caution, maybe. "Let's wait until after the doctors have assessed your husband. You'll want to know his condition first." She was right, but fury was rising in my chest like floodwater. I wanted to call Jennifer right now. I wanted to scream at her until my voice gave out. Instead, I forced myself to breathe and started filling out the forms. Michael's birth date, our address, insurance information.
emergency contacts. I stopped at that last one. Jennifer's name was already written there in my handwriting, except it wasn't my handwriting. It's close, the same loops and slant, but wrong in small, essential ways. Someone had forged it. "Excuse me." I stood abruptly, clipboard in hand. "I need to speak with someone in administration, right now." The woman behind the admin desk looked tired, her eyes puffy behind wire-rimmed glasses. Her name tag read, Sharon, patient advocate. "How can I help you?" she asked, fingers already moving toward her keyboard. "My husband, Michael Hartwell, was just admitted. I need to see all the paperwork on file for him." She typed, frowned. "Ma'am, according to our records, your daughter, Jennifer Hartwell Morrison, holds medical power of attorney for your husband. She filed the documents 6 weeks ago." The room spun. "That's impossible. I never signed anything transferring power of attorney." Sharon turned her monitor toward me. On the screen was a scanned document, official and notarized. At the bottom, 2 signatures, Michael's and mine. Except they weren't ours. "This is forged." My voice came out flat, emotionless. "That's not my signature." Sharon's expression shifted from bureaucratic patience to concern. "Ma'am, I'm going to need to escalate this. This could be fraud." "It is fraud." My hands clenched into fists. "My daughter locked my husband in our basement and forged documents to take control of his medical decisions. And I'm betting this isn't the only thing she forged." Sharon picked up her phone. "I'm calling our legal department and hospital security. Don't go anywhere." I sank into the chair beside her desk, my mind racing. If Jennifer had forged medical power of attorney, what else had she forged? Financial documents? Property deeds? My phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out. A text from Jennifer. "Mom, heard you're back. So glad you made it home safe. How's Grandma? Call me when you can. Heart." The heart emoji stared up at me like a taunt. I typed back with shaking fingers. "Where are you?" 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "At home? Why? Is everything okay?" "Is Michael with you?" Long pause. "Mom, what's going on? You're scaring me." I almost laughed. She was good, really good.
Michael is in the hospital. He was locked in the basement, starved, dehydrated. But you already know that, don't you? The 3 dots vanished. No response. I waited, staring at the screen. 1 minute. 2. 5. Nothing. I stood up, walked back toward the ER, my heart pounding. A doctor in blue scrubs met me in the hallway, his face grave. "Mrs. Hartwell, I'm Dr. Patel. I've been examining your husband. How is he?" "Stable, but concerning. He's severely dehydrated. We're giving him IV fluids now. He's malnourished, and he has pressure sores consistent with prolonged immobility. His cognitive function is significantly impaired." "The Alzheimer's," I said. "Yes, but exacerbated by the conditions he was kept in. Isolation, lack of stimulation, malnutrition. All of these accelerate cognitive decline dramatically." He paused. "Mrs. Hartwell, how long was your husband in that basement?" "I don't know. I've been out of state for 2 months. My daughter was supposed to be caring for him." Dr. Patel's jaw tightened. "Based on the severity of his condition, I'd estimate he's been in those conditions for weeks, maybe longer." Weeks. Jennifer had locked him down there and left him to rot for weeks? "Doctor,
I need to see him. Of course, but there's something else you should know. He glanced at a tablet in his hand. Your husband kept asking for someone named Jennifer. He seems to think she's been taking care of him, bringing him food. He's confused about the timeline. That's what she told him, I said bitterly. She lied to him, made him think I abandoned him. Dr. Patel's expression darkened. Mrs. Hartwell, I'm legally obligated to report suspected elder abuse. I'll be contacting Adult Protective Services and the police. Good, I said, because I want my daughter arrested. They let me sit with Michael for 30 minutes while they finished his intake. He was hooked up to monitors and IVs, his face pale against the white pillow. But his eyes were clearer now, less glassy. Teresa, he reached for my hand. I'm sorry. Sorry? Michael, you have nothing to be sorry for. I signed the papers. She said you needed me to. I couldn't remember. Everything was so foggy. She lied to you, honey. She manipulated you. His eyes filled with tears. Our Jennifer? Our baby girl? I wanted to tell him, yes, our baby girl, the one we raised and loved and sacrificed for. The one who used to bring us breakfast in bed on Sundays and call every week just to chat. But that Jennifer was gone. Or maybe she'd never existed at all. Rest now, I said instead. We'll figure this out. But even as I said it, my mind was spinning. Power of attorney? Forged signatures? Weeks in the basement? What else had Jennifer done while I was gone? I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and logged in. The screen loaded. My stomach dropped. Our joint checking account, the one we'd built over 30 years of marriage, showed a balance of $438.12. Our savings account? $0.00. Our investment account? Account closed. I scrolled frantically through the transaction history, transfers, dozens of them, all authorized with Michael's digital signature, all sent to an account I didn't recognize. The most recent transfer was dated yesterday, $15,000. The memo line read, Final Liquidation. Jennifer hadn't just locked my husband in the basement, she'd robbed us blind. And according to these records, Michael had authorized every single transaction. My phone slipped from my shaking hands and clattered to the floor. A nurse rushed in. Mrs. Hartwell, are you okay? I looked up at her, and I realized I was laughing. A horrible, broken sound. No, I'm not okay, because I just realized something. This wasn't just elder abuse. This was theft, fraud, forgery. And my daughter had planned every bit of it. I left Michael sleeping under the watchful eyes of the night nurse and drove home in the dark. The house looked different now, sinister, like something from a horror movie where the real monster had been living inside all along.
I parked in the driveway and sat there for a moment, hands gripping the steering wheel, trying to steady my breathing. Part of me wanted to burn the whole place down, erase every surface Jennifer had touched, every lie she'd told within these walls. But I couldn't do that, because somewhere in this house was evidence, and I was going to find every last piece of it. I got out of the car, unlocked the front door, and stepped inside. The smell had faded, or maybe I was just numb to it now. I walked through the living room, the kitchen, seeing everything with new eyes. The perfectly arranged couch cushions, the spotless coffee table, the warm kettle. She'd been here. Today. Maybe just hours before I arrived. Cleaning up, staging the scene, making everything look normal. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures. Every room, every angle. The kitchen table set for two. The locked basement door.
I documented everything. Then I went back down to the basement. The light still didn't work. I used my phone's flashlight, sweeping it across the space. The cement floor had been scrubbed in places. I could see the clean patches where something dark had been washed away. The bucket in the corner was empty now, but the smell lingered. I photographed it anyway. The thin blanket, the pressure sores on the floor where Michael had lain, the window that barely let in light, and then I saw it again. The camera. Small, black, mounted near the ceiling behind the exposed pipe. I'd noticed it earlier in my panic, but now I looked at it closely. It was professional grade. Not some cheap security camera. This was the kind people used for surveillance, for monitoring, for recording evidence. My hands trembled as I dragged a folding chair over and climbed up. The camera was still warm, still on, still recording. I found the power cable running along the pipe, traced it to an outlet hidden behind a stack of old boxes. I unplugged it, then carefully removed the camera from its mount. It was lighter than I expected. I turned it over in my hands, found the SD card slot on the bottom. The card was still inside. I climbed down, carried the camera and chair upstairs, and set everything on the kitchen table. My laptop was still in my suitcase by the door. I retrieved it, booted it up, and slid the SD card into the reader. The screen flickered. A folder appeared, Basement Cam 2024. Inside were dozens of video files, organized by date. The oldest was from 8 weeks ago, right around the time I'd left for my mother's. The newest was from this morning. I clicked on the oldest file. The screen filled with a grainy night vision image of the basement, empty at first. Then the door opened and light spilled down the stairs. Michael appeared, walking slowly, carefully. Behind him, Jennifer's voice. "Dad, I need you to come down here for a second. I can't find the Christmas decorations." "Christmas?" Michael sounded confused. "It's not Christmas yet, is it?" No, I'm just getting organized early. Come on, it'll just take a minute." Michael descended the stairs. The camera angle caught everything. His uncertain steps, the way he held the railing. Jennifer followed him down, then stopped at the bottom. "They're supposed to be in that corner," she said, pointing. "Can you check?" Michael walked toward the corner, out of frame. There was a pause. Then his voice. "I don't see any boxes, honey." "Really? Let me look." Jennifer walked past the camera's view. Then suddenly, she turned and ran back up the stairs. "Jennifer?" Michael's voice, confused. "Where are you going?" The basement door slammed shut. The bolt scraped closed. "Jennifer!" Panic now. "Jennifer, the door's stuck." Footsteps above. Then silence. On screen, Michael appeared back in frame, moving toward the stairs. He climbed them slowly, tried the door. Pushed. Pulled. "Jennifer! Jennifer, I'm locked in!" No answer. He kept pounding, his voice getting more desperate, until finally he sat down on the stairs, breathing hard. The timestamp on the corner read 8:47 p.m. I fast-forwarded. 9:15 p.m. Michael still on the stairs, calling out occasionally. 10:30 p.m. He'd moved to the floor, curled up. 11:58 p.m. Still there, not moving much.
I jumped to the next day's file. 8:23 a.m. The door opened, Jennifer came down with a bottle of water and a protein bar. "Morning, Dad." Michael scrambled up, rushed toward her. "Jennifer, thank God. The door got stuck last night. I couldn't—" "It didn't get stuck." Her voice was calm, matter of fact. "I locked it." Michael froze. "What?" "Imam called me before she left. She told me you've been having episodes, getting aggressive. She said to keep you safe. This is the safest place." "I haven't been aggressive. Teresa would never—" "Dad, you're confused. The Alzheimer's is getting worse. Mom didn't want to tell you because she didn't want to hurt your feelings." Jennifer set down the water and protein bar. "But she asked me to watch you, to keep you somewhere you couldn't hurt yourself or anyone else. I want to talk to her. I want to call Teresa. She's busy with Grandma. She doesn't want to be bothered right now." Jennifer turned toward the stairs. "I'll bring you dinner tonight. There's a bathroom bucket in the corner. Try to get some rest." "Jennifer, wait." The door closed. The bolt slid home. Michael stood there, staring at the stairs, the water bottle in his shaking hand. "She's lying," he whispered to himself. "Teresa wouldn't. She wouldn't." But his voice held doubt now, the seed of Jennifer's lie taking root. I felt sick. I skipped through more files. Day 3. Jennifer brought food once, left quickly. Day 5. No visit. Day 7. She came down with a clipboard. "I need you to sign some papers, Dad, for the insurance. Mom said it's important." Weaker now, Michael took the pen with trembling hands. "What is this?" "Just routine stuff. Power of attorney, medical directives, in case something happens." "I don't understand." "Dad, just sign it. Mom's been asking." He signed. His hand shook so badly the signature was barely legible. Day 10. Jennifer came down and found Michael lying on the floor, barely conscious. "Dad? Dad, can you hear me?" He didn't respond. She stood there for a long moment, staring at him. Then she pulled out her phone and made a call. "Yeah, it's me." "No, he's still alive." I know. Look, it's taking longer than I thought." "What do you want me to do? Smother him with a pillow?" "Fine, I'll keep waiting." She hung up, looked down at Michael. "Sorry, Dad, but you have a really good life insurance policy, and Mom's gonna need that money when she gets back." Then she turned and left him there. I had to pause the video. My hands were shaking so hard I couldn't control the mouse. Bile rose in my throat. I ran to the sink and vomited. My daughter! My own daughter! When I could breathe again, I forced myself to keep watching. Day 15. Michael was barely moving. Jennifer brought water, helped him drink, and then left. Day 18. No visit. Day 21. No visit. Day 25. She came down with cleaning supplies. Michael was conscious but confused. "Jennifer, is your mother, is Teresa okay?" "She's fine, Dad." "When is she coming home?" "Soon." "I miss her." "I know." She scrubbed the floor where he'd been lying, changed the blanket, emptied the bucket. "There," she said, standing back. "Much better. Can't have it looking like a crime scene when Mom gets back, right?" She smiled when she said it. I watched file after file. Weeks of torture documented in crystal clear video. Michael begging for food. Michael crying in the dark. Michael calling my name over and over. And Jennifer, visiting less and less, each time more annoyed than concerned. The final video was from this morning. Jennifer came down one last time, looked around, seemed satisfied. "Well, Dad, Mom's supposed to be home today. I'm sure she'll find you eventually." She smiled, turned off the basement light, and left. 20 minutes later, the timestamp showed, I'd come home. I sat back, staring at the frozen image on my laptop screen. I had everything. Every conversation, every lie, every moment of cruelty. But it was the other files on the SD card that made my blood run cold. A folder labeled Insurance. Inside, scanned documents, a life insurance policy in Michael's name, filed 6 weeks ago. Beneficiary? Jennifer Hartwell Morrison. Amount? $750,000. Policy date? The same week Michael was locked in the basement. Another folder. Transfers. Screenshots of bank transfers. Crypto wallet addresses. Account numbers I didn't recognize. Jennifer had documented everything. Her own crime, preserved in meticulous detail. Why? Then I saw the final folder. Correspondence. Email chains between Jennifer and Kyle. I opened the most recent one. From Jennifer to Kyle. Subject, timeline. We need to move faster. Mom comes back next week. And if Dad's still alive, this whole thing falls apart. The insurance policy won't pay out if it looks suspicious. We need it to look natural, like he just deteriorated while she was gone. Can you get more of those sedatives? From Kyle to Jennifer, subject, timeline. Babe, I'm not comfortable with this anymore. He's your father. From Jennifer to Kyle, subject, timeline. He barely remembers who I am. The Alzheimer's is going to kill him anyway. We're just accelerating the timeline. Besides, we've already transferred most of the money. We can't back out now. And the life insurance is the final piece. $750,000, Kyle. That's our future, our freedom. From Kyle to Jennifer, subject, timeline. Fine, but if this goes wrong, I'm not going down with you. From Jennifer to Kyle, subject, timeline. It won't go wrong. I've thought of everything. The timestamp on that email was from yesterday, one day before I came home. I sat in the dark kitchen, my laptop screen glowing, and realized the full scope of what my daughter had planned. This wasn't just neglect. This wasn't just theft. This was premeditated murder, and she'd almost gotten away with it. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop, a legal pad, and 3 cups of coffee that had long gone cold. The camera footage played on loop in my mind. Jennifer's calm voice, Michael's desperate pleas, that phone call about waiting for him to die. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it. At 6 a.m., I made 2 phone calls. The first was to a lawyer, Margaret Chen, the sister of my neighbor. I'd met her at a block party years ago. She specialized in elder law and estate fraud. Mrs. Hartwell, she said when I explained the situation, her voice sharp and awake despite the early hour. Do not touch anything else in that house. Do not delete anything. And most importantly, do not confront your daughter yet. Why not? Because people who plan elaborate fraud schemes also plan escape routes. If she knows you have evidence, she'll run. Or worse, she'll destroy evidence you haven't found yet. Margaret paused. I'm calling the police and Adult Protective Services. Don't move until they arrive. The second call was to Michael's hospital room. The night nurse told me he'd had a restful night, that his vitals were improving. Small mercies. Can you tell him I'll be there this afternoon? I asked. Of course, honey. And Mrs. Hartwell, whatever happened to your husband, I'm glad you have him. I hung up before she could hear me cry. Detective James Morrison arrived at 8:15 a.m. with a younger officer I didn't catch the name of. Morrison was in his 50s, with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen too much. He looked at me the way doctors look at terminal patients, with sympathy, but also with the professional distance of someone who deals with human cruelty every day. Mrs. Hartwell? He shook my hand. Margaret Chen contacted our Elder Abuse Division. She says you have evidence of a possible fraud and imprisonment case. More than possible. I led him to the kitchen table where my laptop sat open. I have video footage of my daughter locking my husband in the basement and leaving him there for weeks. I have emails discussing his murder, and I have evidence of financial fraud. Morrison's eyebrows rose. That's quite an accusation. It's quite the crime. I showed him everything. The video footage, the emails, the insurance policy, the banking transfers. He watched in silence, his expression growing darker with each minute. When the video showed Jennifer making that phone call, what do you want me to do? Smother him with a pillow? Morrison's jaw clenched. Jesus Christ, he muttered. There's more. I pulled up the banking records. She drained our accounts, every penny we saved over 30 years. And she used Michael's deteriorating mental state to make him sign documents authorizing the transfers. Morrison leaned back, rubbing his face. Okay, this is now a criminal investigation. I need to take possession of all this evidence. The camera, the SD card, your laptop for forensic analysis. Take whatever you need. We'll also need to interview your husband, get his statement when he's medically cleared. Morrison pulled out his phone. I'm calling in our financial crimes unit. If they were moving money through crypto, we'll need specialists to trace it. Her husband, Kyle, I said. He works in tech. The emails show he was helping her. Morrison nodded grimly. We'll bring him in too. But Mrs. Hartwell, I need you to do something difficult. What? Act normal. If your daughter contacts you, don't let on that you know anything. We need time to build the case, freeze assets, and make sure they can't flee. She already texted me yesterday, playing concerned. Good. Keep playing along. Can you do that? I thought about Michael lying on that basement floor, about Jennifer's smile as she talked about crime scenes. Yes, I can do that. The financial crimes detective arrived 2 hours later. Her name was Sarah Kim, and she looked like she was barely 30, with sharp eyes behind designer glasses and a tablet she never stopped typing on. Crypto fraud, she said, almost enthusiastically after reviewing the email chains. This is actually easier to trace than people think. Everyone believes cryptocurrency is anonymous, but it's really just pseudonymous. Every transaction leaves a trail on the blockchain. She pulled up a chair next to me. Show me the account numbers from your bank transfers. I navigated to the transaction history. Kim took screenshots, typing rapidly. Okay, so the money went from your joint account to this routing number. That's a crypto exchange. They probably converted your cash to Bitcoin or Ethereum, then moved it through several wallets to obscure the trail. She looked up. Do you know if Kyle has technical expertise? He's a software engineer, works for some startup in the city. Kim smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. Amateur mistake. Technical people think they're smarter than investigators. They get cocky. She tapped her screen. See this transaction here? 3 weeks ago, they transferred $40,000 to a wallet, then immediately moved it to another one. That's called tumbling, trying to clean the money. But they did it too fast, left a clear chain. Can you get it back? Some of it maybe. Depends on how much they've already cashed out. Kim pulled up another screen. But here's the interesting part. They didn't just steal from you. They also opened new credit lines in your husband's name. 3 credit cards, maxed out. A personal loan for $50,000, all approved using forged signatures and his identity. My stomach dropped. How much? Kim scrolled through her notes. Between the bank transfers, the credit fraud, and the cash withdrawals, approximately $470,000.
$470,000. $500,000 stolen from a man who couldn't remember what he'd had for breakfast. There's something else, Kim said, her tone shifting. The life insurance policy. I pulled the filing date. It was submitted 6 weeks ago. But to get a policy that size approved, they would have needed a medical examination. Michael never had an exam. He was locked in the basement. Exactly, which means someone falsified the medical records. Kim looked at Morrison. We need to find out who the examining physician was. Morrison was already on his phone. I'll contact the insurance company. By noon, we had a name. Dr. Richard Holloway, a general practitioner with a small clinic in the suburbs. According to the insurance paperwork, he'd examined Michael on September 15th and certified him as healthy enough for the policy. The same day, Jennifer had locked Michael in the basement. I want to talk to him, I said. Morrison shook his head. We'll handle this. If he's complicit, we need to approach carefully. He falsified records that almost got my husband killed. I want to be there. Morrison and Kim exchanged glances. Finally, Morrison sighed. Fine, but you stay quiet and let me do the talking. Understood. Understood. Dr. Holloway's clinic was in a strip mall between a nail salon and a Chinese restaurant. The waiting room was empty, except for a receptionist who looked bored until Morrison flashed his badge. We need to speak with Dr. Holloway, now. Her eyes widened. Is something wrong? It depends on what the doctor tells us. She scrambled to the back. A moment later, a man in his 60s emerged, wearing a white coat and an expression of confused concern. Officers? I don't understand. Dr. Holloway, Morrison showed him the insurance paperwork on his phone. Do you recognize this document? Holloway squinted at the screen. That's my signature, yes. A life insurance examination. For Michael Hartwell, dated September 15th. If it says so, I do several of these a month. Do you remember examining him? I frowned. Not specifically, no. These exams are fairly routine. He was locked in a basement the day you supposedly examined him, I said, unable to stay quiet any longer. My husband never set foot in this clinic. Holloway's face went pale. I don't... Morrison stepped forward. Dr. Holloway, medical fraud is a federal crime. If you falsified medical examination records, I didn't falsify anything. Holloway's voice cracked. Jennifer, Morrison, or Hartwell, whatever her name is, she brought in the paperwork already filled out. She said her father had mobility issues, that she'd done the preliminary vitals at home. All I had to do was review the numbers and sign. And you didn't find that suspicious? Kim asked. She paid cash. Holloway looked miserable. $500 for 10 minutes of work. She said her father was embarrassed about needing help, that it was easier this way. I thought I was just cutting through red tape. She told you she had Alzheimer's.
No, the form said he was cognitively sound. He wasn't, and because you signed off without actually examining him, she was able to take out a life insurance policy on a man she was actively trying to kill. Holloway sank into a chair, his face in his hands. Oh, God, what have I done? You've committed fraud for starters, Morrison said, and potentially contributed to attempted murder. I need you to come down to the station and give a full statement. Am I under arrest? Not yet, but I'd strongly suggest you cooperate. As we walked back to the car, Kim leaned close to me. That's 3 felonies now: fraud, forgery, and elder abuse, and we haven't even gotten to the attempted murder charge yet. Will he testify? I asked. Oh, he'll testify, Morrison said. He's terrified. He'll tell us everything he knows to save his own ass. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Hey, Mom, still haven't heard from you. Starting to worry. Is everything okay? Love you, heart. I showed it to Morrison. What should I say? He thought for a moment. Tell her everything's fine. You're just busy with Michael's care. Keep it brief. Don't engage. I typed, everything's fine,
Michael had a health scare, but he's stable now. We'll call you later. 3 dots appeared immediately. What kind of health scare? Do you need me to come? My hands clenched around the phone. Morrison touched my arm. Tell her no. Tell her you have it handled. No need. Doctors are taking good care of him. I'll update you soon. The dots appeared again, then disappeared. No response. She's nervous, Kim observed. She knows something's wrong, but she can't figure out what. Good, I said. Let her sweat. That evening, back at the hospital, I sat with Michael and watched him eat dinner. Real food this time. Mashed potatoes, Salisbury steak, green beans. He ate slowly, like he'd forgotten how. He wants to go home, Theresa. He wants to sleep in his own bed. Not home. Not yet. We need to make sure you're fully recovered first. I want to go home, Theresa. I want to sleep in my own bed. I know, honey. Soon. He set down his fork, looked at me with those confused, searching eyes. Jennifer hasn't visited. My throat tightened. She's been busy. She said you told her to lock me up, to keep me safe, but you wouldn't do that, would you? I took his hand. No, Michael. I would never do that. She lied to you. Why would our daughter lie? It was the question I'd been asking myself for 2 days straight. How does a child you raised, loved, nurtured, how do they look at their own father and see nothing but a bank account to drain? I don't know, I said honestly. But we're going to make sure she can't hurt you again. Michael nodded slowly, then went back to his dinner. My phone buzzed. Morrison. We got a warrant for Jennifer and Kyle's bank records. We're also tracing the crypto wallet transactions. Kim thinks she can freeze the remaining assets by tomorrow. Need you to come down to the station in the morning to review evidence. I texted back. I'll be there. Another message came through, this one from an unknown number. You're making a mistake. Dad was dangerous. I was protecting the family. Don't do something you'll regret. I showed it to the nurse. Can you document that I received this with the timestamp? She nodded, concerned. Should I call security? No, but keep this door locked. Don't let anyone in except medical staff and Detective Morrison's people. Is someone going to hurt him? I looked at Michael, peacefully eating his green beans, completely unaware that his own daughter had just sent me a veiled threat. Not anymore, I said. Not ever. The next morning at the police station, Kim greeted me with a manila folder and an expression that could only be described as satisfied. We found it, she said. The smoking gun. Inside the folder was a printed ledger, handwritten notes in Jennifer's handwriting detailing every transaction. September 8th, transfer $15,000 to BTC Wallet Alpha. September 12th, move to Wallet Beta, then Charlie. September 18th, cash out $8,000 for car down payment. September 22nd, transfer $25,000 to offshore account, Cayman. And at the bottom of the page, a final note that made my blood run cold. Insurance payout, $750,000, expected 6 to 8 weeks post-policy date. Use natural decline story, no foul play appearance.
She kept records, I said, stunned. Why would she keep records of her own crimes? Arrogance, Morrison said, joining us, and greed. She and Kyle probably wanted to make sure they both knew where every dollar went. Thieves don't trust each other. There's more. Kim pulled out another sheet. We found the offshore account in the Cayman Islands. It's under an LLC, Morrison Holdings. Kyle's name is on the registration. They set it up 3 months ago. 3 months. They'd been planning this for 3 months, before I even left for my mother's. They were waiting for you to leave, Morrison said, reading my expression. They needed you gone so they could isolate Michael. This was premeditated from the start. I sat down heavily. What happens now? Now we arrest them. We have enough evidence for multiple felony charges: elder abuse, fraud, forgery, identity theft, and based on those emails about letting him die. Conspiracy to commit murder. When? Morrison checked his watch. Search warrant for their house is being executed in about... He paused. Actually, any minute now. My phone rang. Jennifer. Morrison held up his hand. Answer it. Speakerphone. I accepted the call, hands shaking. Mom? Jennifer's voice was tight, strained. What the hell is going on? There are police at my house. Are there? I kept my voice neutral. They have a warrant. They're taking our computers, our phones, everything. They're talking about fraud, about Dad. Did you do this? Did you call the police on me? Morrison nodded at me. Yes, I said. I called them. I showed them the camera footage, the basement, the emails, everything. Silence on the other end. Then, you don't understand. He was dangerous. I was trying to protect. You locked him in the basement to starve him so you could collect insurance money. I have video of you saying that. Mom, please. You stole everything we had. You forged our signatures. You bribed a doctor. You planned to kill your own father. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like, Jennifer? Explain it to me. Make me understand how my daughter became a monster. The line went silent again, then quietly, You'll never see your grandchildren again. She hung up. I stared at the phone. Morrison took it from my hand. That was good. That was perfect, actually. She essentially just admitted to everything. She threatened me, I said numbly. With my grandchildren. She's desperate. Desperate people make mistakes. Kim pulled up something on her tablet. And speaking of mistakes, we just got a hit on their credit cards. They booked flights to Belize tomorrow morning. One-way tickets. Morrison was already moving. Call TSA. Flag them at every airport. Get warrants for both their arrests. He looked at me. Mrs. Hartwell, you might want to go back to the hospital. Stay with your husband. This is going to get ugly, and the media will probably pick it up soon. I want to be there when you arrest her. Ma'am, I want to see her face. Morrison studied me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, but you stay in the car, understood? Understood. Jennifer and Kyle lived in a modern suburban home with a 3-car garage and professionally landscaped yard. The kind of house that screamed, success, and we have money. Our money. I sat in Morrison's unmarked sedan parked 2 houses down, watching his officers move through the front door with boxes of evidence, computers, files, anything that might contain more proof of their crimes. A forensic accountant was inside too, along with Kim, going through every receipt, every bank statement, every hidden account they could find. Jennifer and Kyle stood on the driveway, both in handcuffs. Even from this distance, I could see Jennifer's face. Not scared, not remorseful. Angry, like she was the victim here, like we'd wronged her somehow. Kyle looked smaller, defeated. He kept his head down, wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Morrison walked over to them, said something I couldn't hear. Jennifer's head snapped up, and she looked directly at Morrison's car. Directly at me. Our eyes met across the distance. I didn't look away. For a moment, she did. They were loaded into separate patrol cars and driven away. I watched them until the cars disappeared around the corner.
Mrs. Hartwell? An officer approached Morrison's car. Detective Morrison wanted you to know they found something inside. He thinks you should see it. I got out and followed him into the house. The interior was exactly what I'd expected. Expensive furniture, massive TV, artwork that probably cost more than our monthly mortgage, all of it purchased with stolen money. Morrison met me in the living room, holding a tablet. We found this in Kyle's home office, he said. It's encrypted, but our tech guy cracked it pretty quickly. Kyle's not as smart as he thinks he is. He handed me the tablet. On the screen was a document, a detailed plan written like a business proposal. Project
Family asset liquidation. Timeline, 12 weeks. Expected return, 1.2 million. Liquid assets plus insurance payout. Below that, a step-by-step breakdown. Week 1-2, establish control. Get medical POA. Begin isolation protocol. Week 3-4, initiate fund transfers. Set up offshore accounts. Week 5-6, file insurance policy. Obtain medical certification. Week 7-10, complete liquidation. Maintain subject isolation. Week 11-12, execute exit strategy. Relocate assets offshore. Book travel. Subject isolation. They'd reduced my husband to a term in a spreadsheet. There's more, Morrison said quietly. He swiped to another document. It was a group chat. Jennifer, Kyle, and 3 other names I didn't recognize. Jennifer, Dad's getting worse. Perfect timing, actually. You sure about this? He barely knows who I am anymore. It's not like he'll even suffer. He won't remember. Cold, Jen. Even for you. It's practical. Mom's gonna need money after he's gone anyway. We're just making sure it goes to the right people. Right people meaning us. We're family. It's the same thing. I read through more messages, months of them. Jennifer complaining about babysitting Michael. Kyle researching crypto tumbling services. Both of them planning their escape to Belize where extradition would be complicated. They'd thought of everything. Except the camera in the basement. The grandkids, I said suddenly. Where are they? Morrison's expression shifted. At school. We have social services standing by to pick them up. Standing by for what? Jennifer and Kyle are both being charged with multiple felonies. If they're convicted, when they're convicted, those kids will need placement. Do you want custody? Did I? They were my grandchildren. Emma, 12, Lucas, 9, Sophia, 6. I'd held each of them when they were born, taught them to bake cookies, read them bedtime stories. But Jennifer had poisoned them too, hadn't she? The oldest grandchild had told investigators that Michael was dangerous. What else had she told them? I need to talk to them first, I said. Morrison nodded. I'll arrange it. The interview room at the Family Services office was painted cheerful yellow with posters as smiling cartoon animals. It looked like a place designed to make children feel safe. Emma, Lucas, and Sophia sat on a small couch, huddled together. A child psychologist sat nearby, ready to intervene if needed. I sat across from them in a chair that was too small for an adult, feeling like a giant. Grandma, Emma said, Mom said you got her arrested. Your mom broke the law, sweetheart. She said she was protecting Grandpa from himself. There it was. The narrative Jennifer had crafted. What did she tell you about Grandpa? I asked gently. Emma glanced at her siblings, then back at me. That he was getting violent, that he tried to hurt you, that he couldn't be trusted anymore. Lucas nodded. She said the Alzheimer's made him mean. Did you ever see Grandpa be mean or violent? They looked at each other, uncertain. No, Sophia said in a small voice, but Mommy said. I know what Mommy said, but it wasn't true. Emma's jaw set stubbornly. You're lying. Mom wouldn't lie about that. Emma. I leaned forward carefully. When was the last time you saw Grandpa? She frowned. I don't know. A while. 2 months? 3? Maybe. And do you know why you haven't seen him? Mom said he was too sick for visitors.
He wasn't sick. He was locked in our basement. Emma's eyes widened. No. Your mother locked him in the basement, Emma. She didn't feed him enough. She didn't give him water. She left him there for weeks. My voice cracked. She tried to kill him so she could steal his money. That's not true, Emma shouted, standing up. You're lying. Mom wouldn't do that. Lucas and Sophia started crying. The psychologist stood. Mrs. Hartwell, maybe we should... I'm not lying, sweetheart. I pulled out my phone, queued up a video file Morrison had sent me. A clip from the basement camera.
edited to remove the worst parts, but still showing the reality. Michael on the floor, Jennifer's voice cold and clinical. "This is for your safety." Michael begging for water. Jennifer locking the door. I turned the phone toward Emma. She watched, her face going pale. Lucas peered over her shoulder. Sophia buried her face in the psychologist's side. When the clip ended, Emma sat down slowly. No, that can't be real." "It's real. The police have hours of footage." Lucas looked at me with huge, terrified eyes. "Is Grandpa dead?" "No, baby. He's alive. He's in the hospital getting better." "Can we see him?" I glanced at the psychologist, who nodded. "Yes, I think he'd like that very much." Emma was still staring at the blank phone screen. "Why would she do that?" "Money," I said simply. She wanted money. "But we have money. We just got a new house, and Dad got a new car, and—" Emma stopped. "That was Grandpa's money, wasn't it?" "Yes." Emma's face crumpled. She started crying, huge, gulping sobs. Sophia crawled into my lap and wrapped her arms around my neck. "I miss Grandpa." "I know, sweetheart. I miss him too." Lucas looked at me seriously. "Are we going to live with you now?" "Do you want to?" He nodded. "I don't want to live with Mom anymore." Emma wiped her eyes. "Did she really try to kill him?" "Yes." "Is she going to jail?" "Yes, for a long time." Emma nodded slowly, processing. "Good." Later that afternoon, I brought the kids to the hospital. Michael was sitting up in bed, looking better, more color in his face, more clarity in his eyes. When he saw the children, his whole face lit up. "My babies!" He held out his arms. Sophia ran to him immediately, climbing onto the bed to hug him. Lucas followed more cautiously. Emma hung back, her face twisted with guilt and confusion. "Emma?" Michael looked at her. "Come here, sweetheart." She burst into tears and ran to him. He wrapped all three of them in his arms, and they cried together. I stood by the door, watching, my own tears falling. These children hadn't asked for any of this. They didn't deserve to lose their mother, even if she'd become a monster. But they deserved the truth, and they deserved to be safe. "Teresa?" Michael looked at me over the kids' heads. "Are they staying with us?" "If that's okay with you." "Of course it is. They're family." Family. The word that Jennifer had weaponized, that she had twisted into an excuse for abuse and theft and attempted murder. But also the word that meant these three scared children in my husband's arms. The word that meant I'd fight for them the way I'd fought for Michael. The word that meant we'd survive this together. "Grandpa?" Lucas looked at me. "What happens to Mom now?" "She has to answer for what she did." "Will we have to testify?" "Maybe, if it goes to trial." Emma lifted her head. "I'll testify. I'll tell them what she did." "Sweetheart, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. Because she lied to us. She used us, and she hurt Grandpa."
Michael smoothed her hair. "It's okay, Emma. Everything's going to be okay." But I wasn't sure that was true. Because even if Jennifer went to prison, even if we got some of the money back, even if Michael recovered physically, the damage was done. Trust was broken, and some things, once shattered, can never be put back together quite the same way. The arraignment was scheduled for Monday morning. Jennifer and Kyle were being held without bail. Morrison had argued successfully that they were flight risks, pointing to the one-way tickets to Belize and the offshore accounts. I didn't attend. I couldn't stomach seeing Jennifer in an orange jumpsuit playing the victim for the judge. Instead, I spent the weekend with Michael and the kids, trying to build some semblance of normalcy from the wreckage. We ordered pizza, watched movies, avoided talking about what came next. On Sunday evening, Morrison called. "We have a problem." My stomach dropped. "What kind of problem?" "Kyle's attorney just filed a motion to dismiss based on a legal search and seizure. He's claiming we didn't have probable cause for the warrant." "That's ridiculous. You had my testimony, the camera footage, the emails." "I know. The judge will deny it, but it's going to delay things, and Kyle's lawyer is good. He's going to fight every step of the way." Morrison paused. "There's something else. Jennifer made bail." "What? You said she was denied." "Her parents ghosted it. Apparently, they sold their house to raise the $1 million. Jennifer's parents, my former in-laws. We'd never been close, but I'd always thought they were decent people." "They believe her story," I said flatly. "Unfortunately, yes. And now she's out, with an ankle monitor and a restraining order keeping her away from you, Michael, and the kids. But Mrs. Hartwell," Morrison's voice went hard, "we just got a tip from TSA. Someone matching Jennifer's description tried to board a flight to Mexico an hour ago using a fake passport." "What?" "She cut off her ankle monitor and ran. We have officers on the way to the airport now, but if she makes it out of the country, find her." My voice shook with rage. "Find her and bring her back." "We're doing everything we can." I hung up and immediately called Kim. "I heard," she said before I could speak. "I'm already working on freezing every account we can find. If she tries to access money, we'll know." "She planned this. She had another passport ready." "Probably. These people always have backup plans." Kim's typing was audible through the phone. "But here's the thing. She's panicking. Panic makes people sloppy. She'll make a mistake." "And if she doesn't?" Kim didn't answer. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept checking my phone, waiting for updates from Morrison or Kim. The kids were asleep in the guest rooms. We'd cleared out Michael's home office and the craft room to make space for them. Michael was home now too, recovering slowly. The doctor said his physical health would improve, but the cognitive damage from the isolation and stress might be permanent. At 2 a.m., my phone finally rang. Morrison. "We got her." I sat up in bed, heart pounding. "Where?"